Hello. Welcome, everybody, to the Charity FPL Chess League. I'm joined by FPL Honey Badger Bandit, Isaac, and FPL Stevo. Say hello.
Hey guys.
Hello guys.
And today we've
We
got
got there in the end.
Today we've got a Division 1 match between Rad FPL and Wombat FPL. If you don't know what the Charity FPL Chess League is, it's a league competition with 3 divisions of 6 players, where we have FPL players taking each other on at chess, and it's been really good fun so far. And I'm just going to bring up the standings for just a second. You should be able to see at the moment that, if I can get them up as well, that in Division 1 we're going to be having Rad FPL against Wombat FPL, and this is Rad's first game, and Wombat FPL is probably the strongest player in the field, so it's going to be a tough match for Rad. But if you look at Division 1, second place is very much up for grabs. So at the end of the round robin, there's going to be a match between the top 2 to determine the winner of the first season. So it's going to be interesting. How are you guys? Isaac, you're currently occupying the second spot in the standings. How do you feel about that? You beat me the other week as well.
First, I just want to say I think we might have some issues with me and Ben's camera on the stream, because I'm currently watching the stream as well, and but might be just me experiencing this problem.
Yes, you should be all right actually. When I go back to the other screen, you should be back now.
Okay, yeah.
Are you back now? You're not back. What's that all about?
Not too sure. Worst comes to worst, they will just have to do with our voices and just
back.
your face.
Okay, Stevo's back. This is... Yeah, we're already late because I've never streamed through a video call before, and it's been proving very difficult with Zoom not cooperating, so we're on Discord at the moment. But why can't I see?
Yeah, I've put the stream up as well, and I can see you, Joel, but the other 2 boxes are blank. Oh no, I'm there now.
You're there now.
I think yours is frozen. Or saw some movement.
Fun.
Well, while Joel is figuring this out, I can say, setting second is when you have 4 points, it's not great. We'll have to see how it turns out in the end. I played 3 out of 5 games, so I might still fuck it up.
What did you make of our match the other week?
Our match was... I started slowly, but I found in that first game, and in the second game I managed also to get some momentum, and that combined with, I think you made one blunder, you could say, one mistake defending that kingside attack, which allowed me to push through your position, and I know you watched the game back, and there were a few things you did incorrectly that allowed me to win those games. But I think you know what I'm talking about. I too made a huge mistake in the first game, very very bad mistake.
Well, that first game I was a whole night up, and I thought I was going to win, but you did what you should really in that position, which is just play aggressively and put me under some pressure, and it told in the end actually. And yeah, you came away with the win. So I'm in a precarious position. I want to kind of avoid this relegation playoff, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm going to tell the players to go. I'm not sure how I'm going to sort out this technical problem, but if you're in the chat, do let us know, and hopefully the audio is all okay as well. But yeah, I'm just going to tell the players to get going, and then we can start with the chess. In the meantime, how have your double game week 19s been?
Mine's been pretty good, to be fair. I've finished on 124 points, which is I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. Any
chips played there, or?
Yeah, I did play the bench boost, which wasn't amazing. I never really planned my team properly because I always knew I was going to bench boost, but I think I genuinely would have had Justin on the bench, and given he scored I can't remember how many points he scored, but a lot. That's kind of justified it, but it could have gone better. But with a score like that overall, I can't really complain.
Yeah, I also bench boosted with 133 points, so I'm very, very happy with how it's gone. I have treble City defence has been the dream for me. I brought them in on a game week 17 wildcard, and I'm so happy that I made that decision. I mean, I was so scared going without De Bruyne the whole time. Every time City were going forward, I was nervous because I didn't want De Bruyne to do anything. And every time Villa or what was the other game? I've just gone completely blank on the other game. Was it Burnley? I can't remember.
Yeah. Was it Burnley?
Whenever any of those teams were coming forward, I was also nervous because of my triple clean sheet. So, yeah, it was great.
That's a good. I think that's a good tactic. I'm toying with that myself because I've been persisting with KDB, and it's kind of his injury is a bit of a relief really because it's like, well, finally I can just sell him and not worry about having to go without him. So I'm very tempted to. I've got the double City defence, but it's very tempting to go with the third one.
Yeah, I think it's the way to go now. Really. I wouldn't mind Foden or Gundogan. I mean, you're going to give yourself a lot of money in the bank, but I'm just happy to hold the 3 City defence for the next 3 fixtures, which are looking very, very good. What about you, Isaac? How's your game week?
117 points, which is okay with bench boost and all things considered. Like some people got upwards of 130, 140, 150 points. So yeah, I'm happy with it. Green arrow and everything.
Yeah.
I know Dave, who usually does the commentating on the chess, was having an absolute monster of a week, wasn't he?
Yes.
I'm not sure what his final score was, but he was on about 120 before the second games in the double. So God knows what he's finished on.
I think.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think he's just outside the top 10k now, so he's having a fantastic season. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm floundering down in about. I think I'm into the top 700k now, but I've been outside the top million for most of the season. So it's nice to get a foothold back in the top million and hopefully improve a bit more.
Yeah, I can kick on from there. I was similar. I was 3.5 million back in game week 7, and I've managed to claw my way up to just inside the top 300k now. So it feels like a good. I feel like we're now halfway through the season, saying just inside the top 300k at the halfway point is all right. It's a good platform to build on, but it doesn't really tell the whole story, considering I've been having to work my way up from such a poor start. So I'm very pleased with that as well. Okay, I'm just waiting on them to start their game. I know Wombat's online. I'm just waiting. I've given them the go-ahead, so they should be able to go fairly soon. Yeah, sorry that you are not able to see everyone's faces, but it is what it is. We're missing the ever-reliable Dave, who has this streaming experience that the rest of us lack, but hopefully it will still be an entertaining one. And we'll have to fix fix things for tomorrow. We've got another match tomorrow between you're playing, aren't you?
It's me. Yeah, it's me. Second week in a row. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, good. You and Rob, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing all right, aren't you? How are you finding Division 2 life at the moment?
Yeah, I'm doing better than I expected. Because I'm far less experienced than you guys. I've really only started playing chess seriously in the last probably 6 months, and even then, it's only really since you started doing the tournaments and this league, Joel, that I've really thought, right, I'm gonna get into this and learn how to play properly. I've known how to play chess for 25 years, but I've never really played it properly. Looked at all the strategies and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm doing better than I thought. So I've won one, lost one. I lost to Alex Tan, I think his name is. He seemed really good for our division. He beat me soundly, and then I beat FPL Alex. And then you saw my game last week so we only played half that game. We only played one game. So I lost that, but probably should have won. I think I was in a good position and made a big mistake and couldn't recover from it. But that seems to be my biggest weakness at the moment is getting myself into good positions and not being experienced enough to kind of capitalise and drive it home.
You had a cracking start, yeah. I remember we were really talking in glowing terms about your position. You played some really, really solid stuff. But yeah, I mean, you said you lost to Axel Tan. He was in the mix for Division 1, so that's definitely nothing to worry about. But you were saying you were going to get beat every single game, so to come away with one win it's good stuff.
Yeah, well, I lost every game in the tournament that you organised first. And then when I saw I was in Division 2 and not the bottom division, I was a little bit worried. But I've been practicing loads and watching tutorials and reading up. So yeah, I'm slowly improving. I'm getting there.
Good. Yeah, I guess just playing more and more games, learning from your mistakes. That's the best way to learn, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, I'm really enjoying it. I'm addicted now. I can't. Every time I get a spare half an hour, I'm firing up chess.com and having a quick game. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Oh, that's great to hear. I'm glad it's such a fun game. Good brain activity. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Still waiting for. Okay, this should be about to start. We've been waiting for Rad FPL to get things sorted, but come on, guys. I see FPL Slovakia's in the chat. Hello, welcome. Yeah, well played in your game against Stevo last week. That was definitely a good comeback win. If you're in the chat, say hello. And if you have any questions about chess, we can try and answer. I mean, we're not quite FPL Dave. He's rated about 2,000 at Rapid, which is very, very good compared to us. We are I think Isaac and I we're about 1,500 odd. Rapid, aren't we? Okay.
There's nice to have him tune in.
Oh, you there, Isaac?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Right.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good.
Right, so yeah, they're underway. So yeah, as you can see by the rating difference, it's going to be a really tough game for Rad FPL. But if he can play some solid chess and not make too many mistakes, then we'll see what happens. And just starting with very sensible moves. The Slav defense is where after White plays d4, Black plays d5, c4, and then c6. This is the move that makes it the Slav defense, and it's just a very solid structure to start things off for Black. So we'll just see how things develop. Any thoughts on the early stages, guys?
Well, like you said, the rating difference is substantial, so we'll see how that plays out. Rad is choosing to release the tension early game rather than holding it and seeing if maybe Wombat decides to capture. I think it was probably the wrong move to capture that pawn, but it's not a big mistake by any means, and he still has solid opportunities to get a good position. Both
Yeah.
players are just developing their pieces until that very last move.
Okay, yeah, we've had some interesting developments. So I was just going back to show what Isaac was talking about the tension and taking the pawn on d5. But since then, yeah, we see often you don't want to move pieces more than once in the opening because you just want to get pieces out and into the game. So instead of playing knight b5, you could play something like knight f3. But yeah, he's walked into queen a5, attacking, so giving check and attacking the knight at the same time. So the only way that Rad can save the knight is by doing this next move that he did, which is retreating all the way to c3 to block the check. And then, yeah, that's now the live position. Stevo, what would you say is your strongest part of the game? Would you say it's kind of openings or middle game, or what kind of end games?
It's definitely openings. That's the kind of bit that I've kind of practiced the most. And when I was first starting out, I was just getting myself into all sorts of trouble right from the start, and then you got no chance really. So I've really tried to study, not learn loads of openings, just learn a couple, the basics of it, and trying to control the middle of the board and developing your pieces as quickly as possible, and just trying to defend everything. So yeah, that's where I think that's where my strength is. And then, like I said, I think my weakness is capitalizing on those positions. I'll often just make a mistake towards the end of the game, and the game flips on its head. So
yeah, I think it's often good to just have maybe 2 or 3 openings that you can play reasonably well, and not worry about having such a wide range of knowledge of openings. But yeah, the opening is a very critical stage because you often can't win a game in the opening, but you can certainly lose it. By putting your pieces on the wrong squares or not developing. And we have an unfortunate position for Rad here. Isaac, do you want to talk us through what happened here?
Yeah, so he decided to defend the knight that was attacked by 2 pieces by advancing his pawn, therefore cutting off the queen from attacking that piece. But that leaves the knight to just be captured. And in other circumstances, that might not be a good move to capture that knight because the black queen is under threat. But because he can capture a knight with a tempo versus the queen, meaning when he captures the knight, he also threatens to capture the queen afterwards. That is not a good trade for Rad. And what happens next is, I think, maybe it is best to just capture the queen. Or actually, I think Rad gets a bit heated with his mistake, so he decides to trade queens. But when you're down a knight, you do not want to trade pieces. The old saying goes, do not trade pieces when you're down material. So he shouldn't have captured the queen, but instead just moved his own queen. And now this is just falling apart for Rad.
You say that, I'm not actually sure I agree. I don't know if you missed this, but in terms of the material count, it's only a pawn, I think, or maybe 2 pawns, because at this point the rook can recapture the knight that's just been lost. So the engine bar really doesn't like it. You see, it says minus 2, but the material count is. I mean, it's not a great position for whites, definitely, but he's 2 pawns down, which is significant when you're up against someone of Wombat's quality. These guys can just start marching up the board. But he did manage to regain that knight that he lost.
Yeah, I see your point there. It's by trading queens, he can then capture the knight afterwards. Which balances out material a bit.
Wombat's been playing very quickly.
Still, yeah, they are playing very quickly, and Rad is walking into the trap I myself have walked into a couple times, where the other guy is playing quickly, and therefore you start doing the same. But he should remember that he has a lot of time on the clock. And a big mistake is playing too quickly in the start of the game, and then you go down in position, and then you have to start spending your time when you're already down material.
Yeah, I don't know whether these guys play a lot more blitz. I think Wombat does play quite a lot of blitz. But in Rapid, the most important thing is having a good position. Whereas in Blitz, sometimes you can get away with it by playing quickly and then just making your opponent lose on time, which can be a good tactic. But yeah, I mean, I remember one of my games against Wombat. He would have, by the end of the game, I'd be on like 1 minute, and he'd still have 8, 9, 10 minutes. He's a very quick player, but he's very, very solid. But I think as the weaker player, Rad FPL needs to not worry about the clock at the moment and just take as much time as he needs to think through all the possibilities. Yeah,
I think especially with the with the adding the 10 seconds per move, it's quite a long time really. I mean, I play this all the time now because of this league. So I thought all the games I'll play on this setting, and I've never really had a game where I've struggled for time that much. So yeah, I kind of agree. You should just take your time and maybe analyse it a bit more, especially against a player like Wombat.
Yeah, I think it's longer than you think. If you think after 30 moves, that's a whole 6 minutes, 5 minutes, sorry, added onto your clock with the 10-second increments. So yeah, definitely worth taking your time. Yeah, any comments about the position at the moment as things have progressed quite a bit since?
White looks a bit disjointed to me, to my fairly rookie eyes. Black seems to have a good pawn structure there. His rooks are in decent positions, whereas White's a little bit more all over the place. I don't know if you guys would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Black is now looking to get his knight into a very tasty C4 square, is that. And well protected by 2 pawns, yeah, it will attack the dark squared light bishop.
Yeah, and he does that, yeah.
And if White decides to capture that knight, it will... Yeah, it does not. He would then have 3 connected passed pawns, which he could push.
Just do a random move for Black, and then I'll just show that. So White captures, then Black captures back. These 3 pawns are just too much to handle. There's a good saying, which is, a pawn's best friend is another pawn. And yeah, these all march up the board, and eventually at least one of them is going to become a queen. So if you're Wombat, you've got a very simple plan. You don't need to worry about creating all these crazy tactics and trying to actually win much material. He just needs to keep putting pressure on by advancing these two pawns up the board, and eventually I think he'll just grind out the win, to be honest.
So we're is this the live game?
Yes, we're back to the live position now.
Okay, so yeah, Wombat did decide to go with the plan you mentioned. A fairly simple plan. Just advance those 2 pawns. They're connected and they have no opposition pawn that could stop them.
Yeah, and things have gone from bad to worse here. So knights are very tricky pieces, and Wombat is now attacking both rooks at once. A rook is more valuable than a knight, so it's at the expense of this pawn here. But these are becoming some complicated tactics. Let's have a look. Either way, I think we're going to end up with maybe even both rooks off the board. Can you spot the right combination, Isaac?
I think he's going to lose one rook, isn't he?
He's certainly going to lose one. I'm just trying to think if he can save the other. Yeah. Take note that if the rook moves anywhere really, the bishop falls. So I think that is going to cruise to victory. Yeah, go on.
So either just capture the f1 rook or just capture the bishop. I think either is just winning for black.
Yeah, definitely. Capturing the... Yeah, either works, because even if he'd captured the bishop first and then the knight had been taken, then the bishop could have taken the rook again. And so now black is another exchange up. So two rooks against a rook and a bishop. The saving grace for Rad FPL is one of these pawns is now gone. So I don't think the defeat is imminent, but it's going to be another kind of slow grind, really, for Wombat. At this level, this is significant enough that you would be very surprised if Wombat didn't win. I think at a slightly lower level, anything can happen. Blunders and mistakes occur, so there'd be a lot of different possibilities still. But I think it's just a matter of time, really, at this point.
How would you guys approach this if you were in Rad's position now? Is there a particular tactic you try and use, or is it a lost cause?
Just resign, maybe.
I don't know if I would resign, but I would. The thing is,
depends on who you are playing, but I know that Wombat is definitely strong enough to just convert this.
100%.
But his idea here of moving his king into a more advanced position is a good one. I think it's very difficult to come up with a plan for white here. He can't really capture that. He can't really capture that passed pawn either. Meaning his rook will always have to be on that side of the board, watching over it. And black is now just blocking the king from advancing too far.
Yeah, I think
further cementing.
When you're in a losing position, the best thing you can try and do is kind of create some chances, create some counterplay, and go on the attack, which is actually what Isaac did really well against me in our game. When he was a knight down, but when a lot of the pieces are off the board, there's not that many left. It's really, really quite comfortable for Wombat. So he will just be looking to bring his king. You're quite right in saying that there comes a point where your king can become a really valuable weapon. Normally you want to keep it hidden away when there's a lot of pieces on the board so you don't get checkmated, but the king can become a really good attacking piece in the endgame. And you can see here, Wombat's now bringing his king up, might bring it up to g6. And yeah, if you're white, this a2 rook just has to sit defending this a4 pawn. It's very, very passive. There's not a lot it can really do besides that. So yeah, it's really tough. It's really, really tough. So what are your guys' plans for Game Week 20? Are either of you having to transfer out De Bruyne or Vardy?
I've already done it, to be honest. I swapped him out for Son. It was I don't have Son, so it was a pretty straightforward swap for me, and I wanted to do it before any price rises. So it's a bit risky, but I've gone for it.
Yeah, and you could easily get something against Liverpool. I'm going to bring in Son next week. I've got Vardy flagged. and I want to do Rashford and Vardy to Kane and Son. I'm going to need to take a -4 actually and downgrade all my defenders to do that. But yeah, it doesn't make sense for me to do it this week ahead of United's game against Sheffield United, even though Rashford's been pretty useless, to be honest. So that's my plan.
Yeah, I think I'll take a -4 as well. I'll probably bring in that third City defender or someone like Gundogan. I think you've got to triple up on Man City with those 3 fixtures coming up, haven't you?
It's looking essential, really. I mean, some people hate that word, but City are on such incredible form, defensively especially. Yeah. You can't really go without a triple up, I'd say.
So, like as just said in the chat, he can't see any plan for White, and neither can any of us. It's
he said
that's not to say that this is hopeless for White, but it's very, very tricky.
Mistakes do happen.
Mistakes do happen.
I blundered the whole rook against Wombat in a match against him. That was very frustrating. As I said in the chat, my plan against Draw was just attack. It's quite right. In our first game, I won quite easily, and I'm not going to lie. Sorry, I felt a bit complacent because I knew you used to be really good at chess and were just getting back into it. And I thought after the first game, it's quite a comfortable win. I thought it might be. Yeah, I just got a bit complacent, and then he just. I think he sacrificed a knight on F7, and then just came for me, bringing all his pieces in and just overwhelmed me and beat me. So
intimidating.
So. Yeah, I think if Rad could do that, that would be useful, but there's just no way, unfortunately. He's defending quite well, though. You know, his position hasn't completely crumbled yet. I wonder if White can play bishop to e5. That's quite a good central square, protected by the pawn. I'm just wondering if there's a way he can... You know, what do you guys think? If this a4 pawn wasn't on the board, do you think that Rad could hold on for a draw here?
It's definitely restricting him, isn't it?
I'm just wondering
the whole point
would be a way to set up some sort of fortress. Yep.
Yeah, might be that without that pawn, his rook would be free to move about. But right now it's being kept super passive. The thing also is that so many of Black's pieces are on light squares right now, where the White bishop cannot touch them.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's hard to put any pressure on any of his pieces when you literally can't move to them, can you?
Yeah, in an endgame where you've got bishops on the board, it's really good to put your pawns on the opposite colour so that they can't be attacked, which is what he's been doing here. But, you know, this right-hand side of the board, there doesn't look like any way that Wombat can break through with any of these 3 pawns as it stands. So he's doing quite a good job of just keeping things as solid as possible and just seeing if Wombat makes a mistake. So I think we've got to give him credit with that, definitely.
And there we go.
That's a nice move, isn't it? Isn't it by Wombat?
Yeah. Very good plan that Wombat has come up with there.
Yeah. So the point is, taking is no good because even if you bring your... I mean, this bishop's probably not going to be able to save the day at all. But even if you bring the king over, eventually, with the help of this rook, this pawn's going to become a queen. So the alternative to that would be we go back to where we were. Just retreating the rook, but then you can just start advancing the pawn up the board. You're just in all sorts of trouble. You've got rook b2 coming. Then if you move the king to defend, you just keep advancing the pawn, and eventually, okay, the computer hates that move because you lose the rook. But point is, eventually the two rooks and the pawn will overcome these defenses here. But yeah, let's go back to the live board where Wombat has nearly 17 minutes on the clock. So what happened? He retreated again, and now he's just stuck.
Yeah, he's just pinned in there now, isn't he?
Stevo, what's the move that Black would want to do next if you just played any random move for White? Let's test your skills. If I just played a random move,
would you just play the rook to b1?
You would, exactly.
You'd lose the rook, but then you'd capture and queen.
Yeah, well done. Good. Yeah, rook to b1, and either you lose the rook and then the pawn queens, or you take and you're left with a queen and rook against the bishop. I think we might see a resignation very, very soon. We can't be
I passed my first test. Excellent.
Yes, you passed your first test. I'll come up with some more tests throughout the second game. We can't be hard on Rad FPL. The rating difference is very significant, and it's really tough for him. And if he was to come out of this with even just one draw at the two games, he would have done well. So I think he can be pleased with the fight he has shown in this game.
Definitely. Now we're seeing an attack that is just made in a few moves. But Rad can be happy with how he responded to going not a piece down, but going down material and getting a bad position early game.
We'll go back to that once this game's finished. There you go, it's checkmate. So
yeah,
there's going to be a second game. So all these matches are 2 games, one with each colour. So yeah, let's go back to the crucial moment. At this level, it can be really little things that turn a game, and by just being able to create a small advantage, Wombat was able to win the game. So let's go back. So where was the key moment? It was that move there where everything turned around. So what? Let me find that move again. Let's try and find a better move than what.
Well, I think rook to c1 is better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good move. Now, just bringing in a second defender to this knight that's being attacked twice, and getting a rook on a semi-open file, which is always what you want. So, yeah, just something like that. I think he was trying to be a bit clever with that move, thinking I can attack the queen, make the queen retreat, and then I can maybe take the knight or something like that. I think he just missed this idea of knight takes c3, and then eventually at the end of this whole sequence, he ended up losing not 1 but 2 pawns.
And would you guys have traded queens there as Rad did? Because my instinct would have been to move my queen and protect it, even if I can get his as well. It always feels like, well, for someone at my level, it always seems like it makes it 10 times harder if you lose your queen, even if the opposition does as well.
It's a very good question. Probably not. What would you say, Isaac?
Well, like you pointed out earlier, you get the piece back, but you do trade it for like two pawns or ish that black can capture on the queen side.
So your options really are being a knight down or being 2 pawns down, and normally you just want to be 2 pawns down. But I guess you could make the case for keeping the queens on the board and then trying to mount some sort of attack could compensate for the piece that you lose. It's a tricky one. There's no good outcome there, I suppose. Anyway, they should be into their second game, so we'll go over to that now. And oh my word, we have to back up to the start. Okay, so once again, we have d4. I like playing d4. You do as well, don't you, Isaac?
Yeah, I think at our level, people are less prepared against d4. You face e4 very often, and you know how to respond to it. But d4, as we see in these 2 games, it's not that easy for people to play against.
Yeah, I just prefer the setups that you can get with d4. I'm quite a kind of be defensively solid first and then try and slowly improve my position. And yeah, whereas I would say, Isaac, when I was playing some blitz games with you a few days ago, you seem quite an aggressive player to me. You seem to be quite attacking.
Yeah,
definitely 2 different styles there. What about you, Stevo? What do you like to open with normally?
I try and keep it simple. Bit of a usually just go e4 and kind of work your way up. I think at the level I'm at, if you just do a simple opening well and don't make any mistakes, it puts you in a really good position.
Yeah.
So I pretty much just stay to that.
Yeah. Let's have a look then at what we've seen. This is quite unusual. You don't often see. I mean, I sometimes do it actually because I play an opening called the London system. But you don't often see knight f3 as the second move following d4. But yeah, so c4 trying to kind of freeze up. c4 is a move you often play in d4 positions to put pressure on the d4 pawn. c5 challenging the centre in the same way. Just feel free to stop me at any point if you want to comment on anything that I'm missing.
No, all seems fairly solid so far.
Yeah, so exchanging on d4 rather than keeping the tension. Something that is quite hard, and I'm not very good at this, is knowing when to trade pawns and when to keep the tension. Okay.
Yeah, I'm quite reactive when it comes to that. I always try and keep my pieces, and then once the other person starts, trading off, that's kind of when I start to attack things.
Yeah. So we've got at this stage, Wombat's just taken the c5 pawn, and the straightforward thing to do would be to recapture with the bishop. But instead, he plays knight c3, attacking the queen, and I think I quite like the idea of. I think he might have been trying to create an isolated pawn by trying to get Wombat to play b takes c3 here, and then recapturing the pawn. But instead, we see an exchange of queens. Okay, and then what I was just saying happened because Wombat had to recapture. So yeah, I mean, at this stage, who would you say looks the better? I say it's quite even.
Yeah, it looks very even to me. Both players have one piece developed. Black has castles though,
Yeah,
and white is still at least 2 moves away from castling. So there's one thing that swings this in black's favor.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for any beginners out there, castling is very important in the opening to get your king to safety, which black has done, but white hasn't yet. But he makes his way. He then does so, then develops the bishop in castles, whilst Rad puts his bishop on g7. Now, that is a lovely open diagonal. I like doing that with my bishops. It's called a fianchetto. Don't know if I've botched the pronunciation there, but especially in an open position like this, where there's been quite a few trades in the middle of the board, an open diagonal like this is really nice for a bishop.
Yeah, that's something I've tried to adapt recently. I didn't really, not that I didn't know about it, but didn't use it very often. I often get my bishops out really early. I like to threaten the. I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I like to threaten the queen and the king from the kind of, what would it be, the G5, G6 position, G5 position.
So do you like? Do you mean like moving the bishop out to kind of squares like these?
Yeah, and pinning the knights in. Yeah.
Yeah,
but recently I've been trying to do that. Recently I've been trying to do that fianchetto a bit more, if that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, something like that. Some Italian word, but yeah, no, there's nothing wrong.
But yeah, I think it's dangerous, isn't it, putting pressure on that pawn in front of the king, because if you, well, it probably doesn't happen so much at this level, but at my level, if you can slip a queen or something onto that square, then it's an instant checkmate, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, let's say you just stick a queen on the d5 square. You've got this amazing. It's called a battery, really, where you've got 2 pieces both lined up at one square.
Yeah,
and it's very dangerous. Yeah, the other time you'll see a bishop fianchettoed is you might see this. You might have a pawn, instead of being on g2, it would be on g3, and then you'd have a bishop in the hole here, g2.
Yeah.
So that's another solid setup for your king. Anyway, a lot of moves have happened, so let's keep going. So Wombat refuses the trade. It's quite a nice square for his knight, actually, isn't it? b5, defended by this a4 pawn. Quite like that. That square for the knight. Clearly, Rad doesn't like that square for the knight. He wants to remove it. And remove it he does. I think an important point here is a trade on this square is probably not the best for Rad, because if you imagine this pawn placed on d4, you've suddenly got this really solid chain with the pawns on e3 and on f2. So I wouldn't exchange here. Would you agree with that? Either of you?
Yeah, one of the advantages in black's position is that white has this isolated pawn on the c-file. And if he's allowed to reconnect that with his other pawn island, then I think it's much more solid.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying before, a pawn's best friend is another pawn, and it can become an easy target just out there on its own. But let's keep going. Both players playing quickly again. Wombat on over 16 minutes at this point, after 16 moves.
I think going back to that trade you were just talking about as well, I think I'd just want to hold on to that bishop if I was Rad, because he's got quite a nice. If he moved that bishop up to d6, he'd have kind of like a double diagonal, wouldn't he, on those pawns protecting the king, and that seems quite useful to me.
And I wonder if Wombat's recognised that here, because in moving bishop to a3, he could well be trying to trade it off. I mean, no matter where the bishop moves, there is that option of trading for Wombat. And a good principle is, this bishop was looking very sad on c1, blocked in by this e3 pawn. And a good principle is to trade off your bad pieces for your opponent's good pieces. And that's exactly what he's done here. Bishop A8, that's an interesting move. Can either of you make sense of why he's played Bishop A8?
No.
I mean, my only thought is, does he want to move his rook to b8 to do something along that file? But with the pawn in front of it, I don't know. Is he going to advance that pawn and try and capture it,
It's the only
or
thing
get it captured?
makes sense to me. Yeah. I hope there was a purpose. It's really important with all your moves in chess to have a purpose behind them.
Could it be that he wanted to move his knight, and if he had moved this, no, not even, because if he had moved his knight there, then he would also have protected the bishop in the same move.
Yeah.
Not sure if you follow.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yes, I follow what you mean. Yeah. So you're saying that
Yeah,
the bishop could have stayed there
if
to be protected by the
yeah.
But maybe Red just missed that. I'm not sure.
That would be easy to miss. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Now, Black's pawn is unprotected.
Yeah, and it is gobbled up,
isn't it? But that's a fork.
Ooh.
That's a fork, if he wants it.
As he walked
And I believe.
Oh yeah, he can fork the rooks.
Well, that is a surprise. That is a mistake. That is a blunder from Wombat, and that really surprises me. And he saw it. He played it, and now Rad is actually winning. 2 rooks for a knight, and there is that extra. Wait, just counting the pawns. There is an extra pawn for Wombat as well, but this is looking good.
Yeah, it looks a lot tighter than the first game, anyway.
Yeah, so let's keep going. Okay, Rad's probably trying to double his rooks on the c file here, and put a lot of pressure on this c3 pawn. He can really target it now. Go on.
What would have happened if? Oh no, he. Go back a few moves. Could you?
Keep going.
Before that. Yeah, so capture the. Not that far. Just before the white G pawn moved up.
So here.
Yeah. So instead of moving the rook to c8, if he had moved his pawn on the e file to threaten that white knight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then that's a back rank, isn't it?
Yeah. So the point
if he moved his knight.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I'll get it right back now. So what he's saying here is, instead of, I mean, rook to c8 is not a bad move, but you can see the engine bars now saying -5 in favour of black. He could have played e5, and if the knight, let's say the knight moves back to f3, then you've got checkmate on the back rank. Even if he blocks with the knight, that is checkmate. So the only alternative to avoid losing the game would be probably something like h3, but he'd have to lose the knight. So he's creating this escape square for the king, but he's going to lose the knight, and then he's a full rook up, and you would expect him to go on to win the game. However, he didn't spot that move, which, to be fair, I hadn't spotted that either, so well spotted, Isaac. Instead,
Cheers.
he has... Go on. Yeah, okay. Instead, he has doubled up on the c file, and now the white knight has to go back and defend the pawn a second time. But now, he's looking very, very passive. Both of his pieces are just preoccupied with defending, and it's all on Rad to just keep putting the pressure on.
So what is the plan for black here?
I don't know.
How does he...
That's probably what I would have done, what he's just done, to try and open up, or to try and put his rook on one of those open files. But it's not checkmate anymore, is it, if he moves down there? So
No. Yeah, I mean, rooks like to be on the 7th or 2nd ranks, so he could bring it down here, threaten the knight, and just plant itself in his opponent's territory. Instead, though, hang on, what? Oh no!
Oh.
Is that a...
What? It's a mouse slip.
Must be a mouse slip. Why is he... Yeah, all I can think of is that he's done a mouse slip there, allowing the rook to be taken by the pawn. But bizarrely, Wombat didn't do it.
That's probably just respect. Not wanting to win because of a mouse slip. Although I must say, if you play blitz and the other guy has a mouse slip, you can sort of excuse it and let him do a take back or just not capitalize on his mistake. But in a rapid game where you have 15 minutes and 10 seconds each move, I do not think that kind of fair play is necessary, because you have enough time to not rush when you place your pieces.
Yeah, might have to
but
ask
very
about that at the end.
Very sportsmanlike of Wombat, because I think he's probably seen that he can just capture the rook.
Respect to Wombat for doing that. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and it must have been a slip, because there's nothing else he gains from being there, is there?
Yeah, and that's where he wanted to move.
Yeah, so as you were, really, after that. So swinging his rook over to... He just wants to try and gobble up some pawns, I think, if you're Rad. And it's Wombat's just got to kind of try and hang on and hold things together. I imagine he probably played h4 here. We're still quite far behind the game because they're moving so quickly. It's unbelievable, really, how quickly they're moving. Okay, so now...
So I'll ask a maybe a stupid question. Why isn't Wombat trying to move that rook on a3 more? Is he protecting something that I can't see? Because...
Yes. He's tied down to this a5 pawn at the moment. Although...
And also the c3 pawn. It's holding down both of those. But I think that pawn will probably fall. Like the a5 pawn will fall.
Is it not worth risking it? Because he's got a chance of a back rank checkmate as well if he just has one move up the board. If he moves that rook out and doesn't get covered.
True.
Yeah, certainly.
He's won it, hasn't he?
I think this is what FPL Dave would call hope chess. Where hoping that he doesn't spot the mistake. Oh, I want to go because we're so far behind. Okay, I think that's what he actually did. He did that in the game, and he's hoping that if you gobble up the pawn, then you Wombat would do exactly the same thing. Would do a back rank checkmate, as you were saying. So hopefully, I mean. He didn't fall for it, thankfully. So back to the live... Well, not the live position. We're still very far behind, but... yeah, well done by Rad. He knew to create this escape square for his king. And... yeah, so... Actually, Wombat is doing what you should do when you're losing. And he's been able to do what Rad wasn't able to in the last game, which is just... yeah, you're right, Steve, actually, that the rook was no good just being passive. It's going to try and attack and create some sort of chance. So he's going after this f7 pawn. It's probably going to amount to nothing, but he's got to try something. So what actually happened was Rad took c3, Wombat took f7. So it's a pawn for a pawn, but I don't know whether Rad is losing his advantage here.
And now Wombat can, capture the pawn in the center, and suddenly Rad's king isn't looking not too safe.
So the threat here is rook to g7 check, just winning another pawn, and I don't think there's an imminent checkmate, is there? No. I think it would just be winning a pawn, and that's it. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but...
No, I think you're right.
But suddenly, you know, I look at these 4 pawns that Wombat has. They could create a problem. I don't think Rad can save this pawn beyond. He'd probably have to push it to. Probably has to. Oh, spoilers. He'd probably have to push it up the board. Let's try and accelerate a bit further. So what did he do? He played rook to f5 check. It's probably quite a good intermediate move. Oh dear. Has he just blundered his rook? Oh no, sorry, it's defended by the king. I'm being stupid. Yeah, so the point was, he was wanting to defend this g7 pawn that he's about to lose, and he does it in a very clever way. He can't do it in one move because, you know, if you move the rook to g5, for example, it just falls. But by doing this intermediate check move, rook to f5, then after the king moves, moving back to f7, he's managed to defend the pawn.
That's clever.
This is very clever. But in the process, he has lost the pawn on a6. And suddenly I'm starting to like what Wombat's doing a lot. So here, Rad is threatening to take on f2. So Wombat blocks with the knight. Who would you say is favourite to win this game now?
Purely based on the position, I still sort of like black.
See,
also,
I'm starting to like Wombat more.
Yeah, I mean, I would have said black as well, just because the 2 rooks seem more useful. But knowing that Wombat is the better player, and that king looks a bit exposed at the top now, I feel like maybe he's going to find a way to win it.
How does White protect that pawn? Because if we now White captures, Black captures back, then the White knight has to move back to h3 to defend the pawn. But then through another pawn push, that knight would be kicked away. And how?
Yeah. So the whole point is trying to keep this f2 pawn defended twice. So if the knight goes back to h3, then this pawn can push one more and kick it out again. But if he does that, can't he just return the knight to f4 and all's good?
Yeah, true. The
thing is, when I see this position and I see if let's say we exchanged these 2 pawns for these 2 pawns, how does Black win? I don't see how Black can win against a rook and knight and those 2 pawns.
Yeah, that's fair.
So if I was Wombat, I would try and exchange off those 2 pawns. Well, one of them's gone.
That works as well,
Mm.
actually.
Yeah, so Wombat's playing rook to g6 to attack the king and the pawn. He wants to win this pawn, and then he's looking very good indeed. But Rad plays a clever move, rook to g7, just to block the check and at exactly the same time defend the pawn. So we see a trade. Wombat gives check and attacks the king, so the king has to move to defend the pawn. Attacking the knight now has to move. Moves back to d4, attacking the rook. So we've reached an endgame now where, I mean, the computer's saying it's a draw, but I know for me at my own level, I find it, it means it's a draw with perfect play from both sides, and I'm nowhere near capable of perfect play, and it's easy to throw away in games like this.
I'd be struggling with just your knight left. I know there's 3 pawns, but I'd be struggling to find a way to win with just the knight.
I think if I was,
you guys will probably do better than me, but
I think if I was playing this game and I was against someone just of an equal rating to me, I would be more worried as black than I would as white. As white,
yeah, same.
Yeah, as black, I'd be worried about messing it up and allowing one of those pawns to become a queen at the end.
Yeah, because that's White's battle plan right now, to advance those pawns. Hopefully get one traded off. Or just, I think here, advancing your F pawn. Okay, so they have already
I'm just trying to
churned out a few
so
moves.
far behind, I'm trying to skip ahead a bit.
Yeah, but just skip ahead. Let us watch the moves.
So the exchange of pawns has happened, and now it's these 2 pawns and a knight against the rook. And yeah, he's slowly advancing up the board. If he can exchange, if Rad can he might end up being forced to exchange his rook for the 2 pawns. That might be the only way to stop one of them becoming a queen, and then all that would be left on the board is a knight, which is not enough to checkmate a king. I've got another test for you, Stevo. Do you know whether it's possible to checkmate a king with just 2 bishops and a king? Bit tricky.
I don't know, but I would guess that. Yeah, it probably is, isn't it? But the king would probably have to be backed into the corner somehow.
Yeah, you can checkmate.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh no, the game's ended. Go back. This is the problem with us being so far behind. Yeah, you're dead right. You can win with 2 bishops.
I probably wouldn't be able to do it, but I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah, you can kind of create a barrier with, completely occupying 2 diagonals and kind of pushing the king towards the corner. You can also win with a bishop and a knight, but I don't think I could do that. That's quite hard to do. Okay, this is the key moment here. So black is only really playing for a draw, and the computer really doesn't like this move rook to
Yeah, it didn't like that, did it?
e8. So why is that? Isaac, do you see it? Because I do not see it. What's the winning move?
Well, what I see is that rook to e8 accomplishes very little. It does not stop either push. The f pawn, if it advances, it will advance with tempo.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't exactly see what it does, but I see what it doesn't do.
So what happens is he does play. So he plays e6 check.
Yeah.
Which forces the king. You want to be keeping. It's kind of forcing the king away. I guess it probably goes back to. I don't know whether I would have played king d8 instead there, but suddenly the king's kind of out of the picture, and it's just this rook on its own, and it cannot stop both pawns at once. So he's able to capture one there, but then Wombat's able to get a queen. Okay, quick pointer. Rad's trying a little trick. If you just play a random knight move, for example, he's threatening to go rook to e8, and that's a skewer. So once the king moves, he'll take the queen. Very easy to miss those.
That knight move. That knight move would protect it, but I see what you mean.
Anyway, Wombat's too good to miss that, and it's just a question of checkmating. Oh, and even manages to hoover up the rook as well, with a fork with the king. And there it is. That was quite an interesting game, actually. I found.
Yeah, that was really interesting. The end was quite tense.
Seeing how Wombat was able to come back from being down material, and showing the importance actually of sometimes it gets to a point where the pawns become more important than the pieces. Just having those 2 pawns more than compensated for the fact that he only had a knight.
And I think being able to make, having those couple of pawns and being able to make all the right moves that you get them up the board without making a mistake that loses you a pawn, is really interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. So Wombat is going to. I'm going to go over to the standings now, and so that puts Wombat on 7 points. I'll fill this in later, and he's assured of top 2 now. Pretty much, he's just got to play. He's got to play Tony, and Rad will be on 0 points. And just to let you know, if this is the first time you've tuned in, so it's 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. So this will be 3 points to Wombat on the leaderboard. But also, there are FPL. They say tie break, but the rules changed. Every single tie will have an FPL head-to-head as well, in a specified game week, and the winner of that head-to-head will get a bonus point on the leaderboard. So, yeah, that is the end of the match. Do you guys have any final thoughts on what we've seen?
Just congratulations to Wombat, and for someone of my ability in chess, it's really interesting to see, guys that are better than me playing, and have you guys commentating and Dave as well. And I was messaging Dave and Honey Badger after my game last week to get some tips and thoughts. So yeah, for someone like me, it's been really interesting and helpful to see these streams.
Good. I'm glad you found it helpful. And Dave's very good at these. He's always on point with his analysis, I would say. Yeah. Any final thoughts, Isaac?
Yeah, just good games. Especially the last one. Very interesting to watch. Very interesting to commentate on. Back and forth. Both had chances to win. Good comeback from Wombat. Yeah.
He was probably worried at one point.
Yeah, no, just I hope everyone who was here turn up tomorrow as well for the stream, the game. Ben, you are playing
Rob Marshall, I think. Yeah, Rob Marshall.
Right, yeah, should be a blast.
I'm not sure of his rating, but I'll do my best.
I'm expecting big things from you.
We're expecting the improvement to continue.
I hope so. I hope I deliver.
Good, yeah. Well, I don't know if there's the option of, we could play a couple of Blitz games now, or we could just call it a day. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm probably going to have to call it a day, guys, but be my guest and play some if you want to.
Cool. Do you fancy that, Isaac? Should we have?
Yeah, Joel, we can play. Yeah, absolutely. Also, we should say, as is in the chat, saying good games, great commentary, guys. So thank you for that. And then cuff. Do I not exist to you, Stevo? I feel like, have you maybe talked to about chess, or is that what he's referring to?
I haven't approached Az, but I'll take that as an invitation. So I will. I'll take him up on
right. Yeah.
Nice.
I thought that you were not texting Az about chess because you were not thinking he was good enough.
I would take advice from anyone, especially someone as good as Az. So, if you have messaged me and I've missed it, then apologies, but I'll drop you a message, maybe in advance of my game tomorrow for some tips.
Nice one. Well, thanks for joining us, Stevo. It's been great to have you.
Yeah, I've had a great time. Thanks again, and if you need me on again, then I'd love to do it.
Fantastic, we'll do. Great. See you soon.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Right.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
So, I don't know if this is going to mess up the view on the stream with him gone, but let's play. What time control do you want to do?
Just 3 minutes, 2 seconds.
Yeah,
it's
let's
good.
do 3 and 2. Okay, I'll challenge you. We're both quite a similar rating, so it should be interesting. It should be fun. So if you want to see how we play quickly, then yeah, hopefully this will be entertaining, and we'll see what happens. There he is. He's actually Isaac's actually better than me actually at Blitz by about 100 points. He's slightly better at playing quickly, playing instinctive moves, but I'll try my best. Oh, the view won't be so good like that. I will do things like this. Okay, so I'm going to start with my d4. Feel free to stay there and listen to me. It doesn't matter too much to me, although I probably should have played unrated.
Yeah. Just probably just don't talk too much about your plans.
I might draw some arrows silently.
Yeah,
if you don't
should I just
stream? I need to. I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. Smart.
So yeah, I will draw some arrows at times, but okay.
Did you watch when I played? Me and Dave played last time, and he played without his queen.
I did. I thought that was a bit of a mismatch, to be honest. I thought.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
I don't know whether like a rook down might have been good, or even just a one piece. I mean, I think you're good enough to give it a really good go against Dave, even like without any handicap. He'd probably win, obviously, because he's such a good player. But yeah, I think being a queen down was a bit much. I think he wanted the challenge, didn't he? He wanted to see if he could compete. Okay, yeah. Was expecting that. Expecting the exchange. See, trying to play and talk at the same time. This is going to be interesting. So we've got to decide whether to. Oh no, I can't take.
You can take, I think.
I thought I'd lose a knight if I took.
Well, then you take my queen with the pawn.
You make a very valid point. Yes. Okay, what am I going to do? Do I want to do that? Yeah, go on then. So yeah, even so far, pretty much. I'm wondering about doing one of those moves, but I'm not sure whether it's a good idea. Let's open up. See, now I'm getting low on time. This is not good. Let's do this. Need to play quicker. Oh no, what we're doing. So I'm just a clean pawn down now. Just blundered that pawn, which is frustrating. Nice move. Can't do that because then it just does. Oh no. I'll do that, and then. Okay. What's it going to do there instead? And I just. Yeah, pretty much had to do that, I think.
So very even so far, apart from you being a pawn down.
Yeah, I just blundered that pawn.
Yeah, happens.
But I'm getting very low on time, which is worrying. 25 seconds. But yeah, we do get the extra 2 seconds every move, so it's not too bad. That's probably not a very good move, but I'm running out of time rather rapidly here. $10 seconds versus a minute. If I was able to avoid losing this game, I'll be very pleased. Just because of the time. I don't mind my position at all, but I'll probably just make a mistake at some point. Okay. Try not to panic. But I've lost a knight, so that clearly didn't work. That was just a time thing.
That was a time thing, yeah.
Okay. Let's try and play a bit quicker in the opening. Let's go again. Should we do best of 4? So we have two with each card.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
What's your reaction to Arsenal getting knocked out of the FA Cup? Not a great result yesterday.
Definitely not, but I don't mind too much. We shouldn't focus too much on the cup now anyways. I believe we are literally so bad that it makes,
Yeah. I think
Um,
you're starting to put a few results together. If you can continue
in
doing
the
it in the
league,
league.
yeah. When Emil Smith Rowe plays, we look a lot better.
I've not watched any Arsenal games live recently, so I don't really. Obviously, I know from Twitter that he's doing really, really well, but I haven't seen anything of him, so I don't really have any comments on him. But it's nice to see a youngster performing well, I suppose.
Definitely. And we really needed creativity.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I'm very happy with our 2 new January acquisitions. Matt Ryan from Brighton, I think, is a very good backup goalie
Yeah,
to
definitely.
have.
It doesn't
And
make a lot of sense to me, moving from Brighton's bench to Arsenal's bench, but yeah, you'd probably take it, wouldn't you?
well, what I've heard is that he is an Arsenal fan,
Oh, okay. Makes
so
sense.
maybe that played into it.
My position is not so great. My king is very exposed, but I shouldn't do that. Okay, we're even in material, so actually it's not too bad. Yeah, well, I don't know if I'll be watching later, but we'll hopefully get to catch a good amount of the Everton-Sheffield Wednesday game. We could do with going on a good cup run, I have to say. So probably our best chance of success at the moment. Okay.
Yeah, and right now, if Everton are injury free, they look really good.
Yeah, Ancelotti's done an amazing job. We've had injuries all season, to be honest. I mean, James Rodriguez has had periods where he's not been fit. Richarlison struggled at times. And the fullbacks as well. What he's done with playing 4 centre backs, Godfrey at left back and Holgate at right back, has been fantastic. He's been so solid. I love Ben Godfrey. He's probably my favourite player at the moment. He's so solid. He's so quick as well.
Yeah, and to think then of that summer window you guys had with the 3 midfielders coming in. Was 3, right?
Yeah, it was.
Thomas, Doucouré, and Allen, yeah. And then Ben Godfrey from Norwich too. Just so solid window.
It was an amazing window. And like for a few seasons now, we've made signings and we've thought, oh, maybe this year we might be able to challenge the top 6. And it's never really happened because the signings weren't as good as we thought they were. Like the season where we got like 3 number 10s. Sigurdsson, Klaassen, and Rooney all at the same time. It's like, what's the point? But so, like, I think Everton fans struggle to be. We're very cautious with our optimism because we're so used to being disappointed and just being mediocre again. But hopefully,
Understandable.
good days to come. There he goes, blundering another pawn. What should I do here? Let's do that. Oh, that could be a mistake. Okay, I'm not too far behind on time at the moment. That's something. I wonder if people are still watching. Yes, got a few still. That's good. I don't think we can be very instructive with the chess because we're too busy trying to play good moves, but hope at least there's some form of excitement. And I I'm going to need to start speeding up again. Okay, back level material, which is good. Unless I'm missing something. Yes, that is a threat. That is a threat. Oh, let's check. No. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine. Okay, I thought I was going to lose the rook for a second. I'm going to lose the pawn, but it's not the end of the world. Oh, I need to create something. See, I'm going quickly into panic stations at the moment. Starting to panic a bit. And that's game over. Okay, 2-0. 2 more games. Let's see if I can at least make things respectable. I've just realised that I need to have it like this. Whoops. Sorry, I just realised having the thing on full screen was not the best. Now we should be able to see things a lot better.
Right, yeah.
Let's do this.
Also, I think like on the stream you can see my shoulder.
Okay.
But that is more than you could see earlier, so there's that.
Hopefully things will be better tomorrow and we'll have figured this out.
Yeah.
Ask Dave for some tips. I don't know if it's also to do with slow internet, if it's a bit of an overload, I don't know, but...
Joel, are you in a game right now?
Oh gosh, I'm in a game against some random person, I've just realised. I thought I accidentally pressed play new 3-minute, as opposed to...
Yeah.
The thing is, he played
Rematch,
that's basically identical to what you play. So...
Oh, really? Huh.
So I just didn't bat an eyelid. Okay. Well, bonus content while I play this game. You can spectate if you like. He's sacrificed a bishop to tear open my king side, but he hasn't redeveloped in his pieces, so I don't know how this is going to go.
I am spectating, but I will refrain from saying anything about the game.
Yeah, it's a rated game, so probably better not.
That would be cheating.
Indeed.
Actually, I will take this opportunity to use the bathroom.
Go for it. Well, that was a mistake, I think, because I might have lost a piece. So attacking the queen, and so he can't take my knight, so he has to be the queen. So I think I might have just saved my skin there. Basically, the point was that if I move the knight out of the way, then my bishop falls because it's defending the bishop. But now he's got to move the queen because I'm attacking with this knight. So I don't. He can't move it to a square where he can still keep attacking my bishop. So I think I'm okay. So now, what should I do? Move this guy out of the way. Threatening the e6 pawn currently. My king is wide open. If I move this knight, I'm going to get checkmated, so I need to be very careful. do something. I'm tempted to do something like king up and then move the rook over and just start attacking that way. So I could. Is that a free pawn? If I take, then does that, which is asking for trouble. So he's probably going to play that. I'm in trouble here, guys. I'm in trouble. Stick to the plan. He does that, I can do that. And we're alright, I think. This is a very messy position. Very, very messy position. I'm going to be still around. Welcome back to a very messy position.
Cheers. Let's see.
It's such a mess. I'm just about holding things together, though. I don't think the sacrifice paid off. They tried. Now he's not going to be able to castle. Don't think he can block the check. I actually quite like my position here. I was going to ask your opinion, then I realised you can't actually say anything.
I so wish that I could, but sadly I cannot comment on the position. I shall not comment, indeed, because that would be cheating.
It would. Oh wait, what's that like? Oh, no, that's okay. Let's go here. Trying to mount some sort of counter attack. I go there. I should take that, shouldn't I? Just be sensible. Yeah, this is not a good lesson in solid defense. Both of our kings are just wide open. Oh, what should I do with this? Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna stick my bishop out on a3 in a minute. I'd like to do it with tempo with check, but we'll see if he allows it. There it is. Okay. I feel like I might be close to checkmate, but it's hard to tell. 40 seconds, okay. Don't know if that's a good move. I don't think it is. But I should win that pawn, so actually king's got to move away, so I'll win the c5 pawn, and things are looking kind of dangerous for him. Is he going? Yeah, I thought he'd do that. Okay. If I move back, I don't think his attack amounts to anything. Don't think so. Oh no. No, Joel, that's not the move. I've lost my bishop. No. I had that firmly in control. And now it's all fallen apart. But there's not much time on the clock, so we could make a mistake at any point. So he's only a pawn up. Make that 2. I'm going to lose again, probably. Yeah, I've lost a little bit. Okay, whatever. Right, I'm resigning. Right, let's do. Is anyone still watching? Yeah, let's do 2 more then. This isn't going well for me at the moment.
Yeah, no, you. So, the game is finished. I can comment on it now. When I started spectating your game, you were up like 2 or 3 pawns by the computer's evaluation, and then throughout the game, you had such an advantage. It was big time winning for you.
I know what my mistake was. It was when I played g6 to block the check rather than just moving the king out of the way because I opened up the fork.
Yeah, exactly.
It was literally, I was weighing up the 2 moves, the 2 options, moving the king or blocking the check, and it was as soon as I played it that I realised exactly what I'd done. So.
Yeah, and it was looking kind of scary to move the king because king was very open.
Yes, he's just trying to break open the queen side. If he does that, I'll probably just do that. I think it's probably okay, but could be a bit vulnerable on the king side. Something. That's kind of my plan at the moment. What I've just drawn there. Sort of. Something like that. Yeah, that is. Doing alright for time so far, which is good. Oh, I was inviting that, wasn't I? Yeah, that was poor. So now I can't retreat my bishop like I was going to before. So I've got to go there. And my pawn structure is weakened a lot, and I could be in trouble if I'm not careful. Okay, this isn't too bad. Bishop's not really doing a lot there. Okay, extra 30 seconds. I need to make this count now. See if I can get a win. Oh, okay. So he's trying to bring his rook into the game, which is probably quite a good idea. Okay. 20 seconds left for him. Okay, that's quite a nice move going into there. And then... Okay, let's do this. Let's go for it. Let's attack. Let's attack.
Yeah,
Aggressive.
that was my worry, because I thought I had a way out of this, but I see that I don't. This is just winning for you.
Yeah, that queen's just in a lot of trouble. No tricks, right? No tricks. I can just take. And then go here.
Yeah.
So winning the bishop. Okay, that's 2-1. Nice. Oh, I should have.
Good game.
Good game. I should have rematched you. There you go. One more to make it 4, and
definitely.
then we'll call it a day. That's probably what I could have done. Okay, she's threatening that, so I can't allow that to happen. I will.
Remember the en passant move.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, point is if he had played that, there's a move called en passant. Like this is the move immediately after a pawn advances 2 squares. You can take it in this weird way. I had not spotted that. It's a lovely bishop at the moment, putting pressure over here. I should just castle. That's sensible, isn't it? Sensible chess. Don't think I'm going to try and fight too hard to keep that pawn, really. Doesn't feel worth it. I'll let it go. Oh. I will use a bishop. Great. Or even a rook. Well, that was clever. Yeah. I thought you messed up for a second then. It's okay, you can still come back from this.
I did probably mess up a bit now that I look at it.
Oh. Haha. I'm going to win. Well played. Well played. Good move. It's got to be something decent for me here, though. If I go here, more pressure on it. Yes, of course. Let's go here. Definitely up against it in this game. And we're getting into time scramble territory now.
Oh well.
Still alive.
Quite
still alive.
yeah. Just about.
And in fact, I am winning, but I've got 4 seconds on my clock, so great fun. Oh no, I can't do that. I'll go there. Oh, this is stressful. This is so stressful.
Were you about to capture the pawn?
I don't know. I don't know what I was about to do. Just know that this is not comfortable. Move! I moved in time. Moved in time. Move the king. Move the king. Oh, yes, he's still alive. He's still alive. 3 seconds. Okay, okay. Okay, breathe. Go there. Just get some time on the clock. Go there. It's like getting to play any move territory. Go there. Let's check. Oh. Oh. I just panicked.
Yeah, I see that.
I feel like Pro is managing to survive off like a 1 second increment with like 1 second on the clock. I just don't know how they do it. Well played. That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah,
great.
That was a fun game.
Well,
we could possibly play some more tomorrow.
We can do that. We can do that. Great. Well, if you're still here, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed that. And the two of us will be back tomorrow night with the Division 2 gaming with Stevo against Rob Marshall. And yeah, hope you have a lovely rest of your Sunday.